Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne and thank you for joining me. I was going to record this, but I just clicked the wrong button, so I'm live. So I apologize. So I hit the wrong button. You'd think I'd learn by now. Good morning, the Fox. How are you? I hope you're well. So I read this article this morning, and this is what got me prompted. I was reading an article from The Guardian, believe it or not, and there's allegedly been a please explain. The Guardian's reporting that ICAC is starting to look at the bruz. So let's have a look at what they say. Okay. ICAC queries grant made by John Barilaro to company linked to Angus Taylor's family. Now, Angus Taylor is a federal government minister. So ICAC is, and of course ICAC's not going to confirm or deny whether they are investigating, but they've definitely asked questions about the $107,000 grant. Now, there are people that are saying that this LNP government, this current LNP government, federal government, is the most corrupt of its type ever. But as I said, we know that Gladys, the previous Premier of New South Wales, had been up before ICAC, and now it looks like, this was at 6:45 this morning, sorry, it looks like that bruz may have some questions to answer. So new documents reveal the New South Wales Independent Commission Against Corruption has asked detailed questions about a $107,000 grant made by the former Deputy Premier John Barilaro to Monaro Family Systems, a company linked to the family of Federal Cabinet Minister Angus Taylor. The grant was paid out of the Local Land Services Fund, part of Barilaro's then portfolio of regional New South Wales in 2018, and was announced by the Deputy Premier. It was used by MFS to fund a pilot project on alternative ways to identify native grasses instead of the method used under the federal environment legislation. The work has been used by the Taylors, who are major landholders in Monaro, and others to lobby for changes to the federal government's listing of native temperate grasslands as critically endangered. In line with its policy, ICAC refused to confirm or deny if it was investigating the grant. The $107,000 grant has been controversial because, as The Guardian has previously reported, there appears to be little paperwork to support the grant, and the then chairman of MSF, Richard Taylor, thanked Barilaro for it in the MFS's annual report. At the time of the grant, Jamland, a company in which both Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor and his brother Richard had an interest, was under investigation by the Department of Environment for illegally spraying native grasslands at Karawong. Hello, Alberta. Guardian Australia has reported extensively on how Angus Taylor met with senior bureaucrats in the Federal Department of Environment soon after the investigation into Jamland started. Taylor says he met only for briefings on the grassland projects and did not raise the investigation into his family's company. Jamland has now been ordered to remediate the property, but it's appealing against the ruling in federal court. ICAC's interest in the grant is revealed in a new document that was made public last week under a call of papers by Upper House of New South Wales Parliament after Greens MP David Shoebridge successfully contested a claim for privilege. So this was privileged information, parliamentary privileged information that now is out in the open. Marked sensitive, New South Wales Cabinet, the briefing note reveals that in April last year, the corruption watchdog sent a letter, an official letter to LLS, pertaining to the funding provided to Monaro Farming Systems to undertake the grassland pilot study. LRS provided a written response answering all the questions and supplied information as requested, document says. As advised by ICAC, this response is not to be made public under any circumstances, as it may prejudice investigations should ICAC deem necessary. Another document, also revealed last week, reveals another $50,000 grant to MFS was the subject of an internal probity review by the Director of Audit and Investigations in Barilaro's previous department. This followed revelations in estimates last June that a senior unnamed bureaucrat in the Department of Primary Industry, part of Barilaro's portfolio, had written a note to file querying whether the grant was ethical and posing the question, is this bribery? The bureaucrat was also concerned that money was being dressed up as a contract for services when it was really a grant. A chat note was also tabled in estimates recorded by the Deputy Director General, Kate Lorimer Ward, telling a bureaucrat, "We have been directed by the Deputy Premier to provide MFS with $50,000, and they should keep the contract contract high level and vague." Did I say MAFS? Did I? Maybe it is, I don't know. This appears to have satisfied internal investigators that there were no evidence of corrupt conduct, although it sent the report to ICAC as courtesy. It did, however, find numerous problems with the department's processes. These included a DPI officer is a board member on MFS, but no record had been logged in the department's conflict of interest register. The bureaucrat was not involved in funding the grant. It also found lack of documentation around the contract with MFS. There was no written quote from MFS to deliver the services, no clear specification of what was done under the contract. It was not registered with the procurement team. There was no documentation as to whether the contract was assessed and value for money. Nonetheless, the probity auditor cleared the grant. It is no wonder the coalition tried so hard to hide this probity report. It basically accepts that white is black and black is white in order to get the government off the hook, Shibridge said. I'm glad the record also shows that ICAC is reviewing it. Hello, Bo. Because the department reviewing it clearly failed. Monaro Farming Systems has now had almost $800,000 from the New South Wales government over the last decade. And it's hard to understand why they keep winning the grants. LOS declined to comment on ICAC's involvement. It did, however, confirm it had been paid $107,000 to MFS for a project known as Monaro Grassland Best Management Practices, as well as 2 grants in Walgett. It is understood that the reports from these projects provided information on the application of land management policies in these 2 regions, a spokesperson said. Comment was sought from Barilaro and from MFS, but neither responded to the deadline. Monaro Farming Systems is an agricultural cooperative that was founded by Richard Taylor. It undertakes works for a group of graziers in Monaro region of New South Wales, including scientific studies and lobbying. So, it would seem that there have been questions asked about this grant that bruz actually issues. As I said, it happens to be the family of the Federal Energy Minister. There seems to be lots of questions being answered, and of course, lots of questions being asked, but we've got no answers as yet. I always find it suspicious when, politicians' families seem to get grants, but maybe just because I'm just so cynical. And the fact that they're saying that there is no paperwork, they can't find the justification, is more red flags. It's really making everything that Friendly Geordie said, allegedly, seem plausible. To be honest with you. If the Independent Commission Against Corruption, let's just say they find him guilty, well then when Friendly Geordie's referred to him as a corrupt con man, he could be technically correct, allegedly. So, yeah, so that's what I read this morning. So, what do you think? Any thoughts? And don't forget, he's got court coming up. So, and let's be honest, he won't want an ICAC investigation going around. He won't want this news about the ICAC investigation coming out as he's trying to sue Google for defamation. The timing of all of this is just bizarre. And he's going to need more than a property investment job. So let's have a look. So 14th of March is the next court date. That's for the return of the subpoenas for... Oh, no, there is an administrative listing for the 14th of March. Chambers, not for publication. It's an administrative listing. On the 16th of March is the return of subpoena. And then 3 few days after that, we start the trial. I think so. It seems to be. It seems to be. There seems to be very much links to this. So here's the court listings. So unlike the US, we just can't download court files. There is some, I mean, as frustrating as it is that we can't get all the court documents, we know what's been filed. We don't know, we can't see the contents of those files. Unlike the US, everybody can pull up anything that's been filed. And we know that a certain person has taken those and misinterpreted them. Anyway, we could only really see, you can only see what's happening in those court appearances. So, which I guess in some ways is a good thing. Let me just pull this up again. I just lost it. So we know that the 9th of March, that was about the Google, so I'm assuming that there must, yes, there's an administrative listing on the 14th of March. Hey, that's today at 9:30. Oh, that's happening now. And then on the 16th of March, is it a public holiday in New South Wales? It's a public holiday in New South Wales. I've still got uni and everything, so I don't have a public. I don't get the day off. I've still got everything that I did last Monday. I've got this today. So yeah. So as I said, the 21st of March is B Day, Bruz Day. So anyway, that is where we are with Bruz. Now, I'm going to just now touch a little bit on Katie Joy because I'm a bit... We were talking about Miranda Wilkins the other day, and this is only going to be quick because I've got to get ready for uni. I've got to get ready for my uni classes. But there was a statement from Miranda addressing Katie Joy. So I know I got all the Bruz supporters in here under false pretenses. Hey, sorry. It just gives me it just saves me doing. I'm looking after Big Boy again on the 21st. Nice. I was going to do a video about this. So if I put it all in this one live, I can kill two birds with one stone, figure of speech. It says, statement from Miranda. My mum released a statement yesterday that was counterproductive and unhelpful to the goal of family reconciliation. She mentioned James and I having a hidden agenda and that little progress was made. I disagree. The fact we all had a face-to-face meeting for 3 hours where we both got to air our differences was huge. I last met my mum and dad in January 2021. I came from that meeting being afraid of my dad and really felt he was unstable. When we communicated with my mum many times since then, meeting her in California, July 1, 2021 and August 3, 2021. I also met Melanie and talked to her in person when she came to a show that I did in West Hollywood in December 28, 2021. After our recent meeting in Michigan, my dad asked me if I was still afraid to be around him, and I replied no. With that interaction, I felt immediately ice was being melted between us. A wall that was between us, I felt was broken, and it was a step in the right healing direction. If we got nothing out of that meeting except this, I would consider flying down on Tuesday, March the 8th, and returning Wednesday, March the 9th for LA. Well, worth it for James and I. As for my mum, she'll say what she wants to. I say contrary things to her, and this is called a disagreement. If we agreed on how I live my life, then we wouldn't be in a public drama fest. James and I are trying to work this out privately, but hey, my family think the best approach is to involve outsiders in our private issues. First my relatives and friends, and then social media. I'll say it again, involving Katie Joy into our family problems is a serious mistake because this lady is a complete psycho and she's attacking people I work with and admire. Katie is only interested in fame and monetizing off her targets like me. As to what my mum or sister says, it is my family to deal with. When I met my mum on 1st of July 2021, she kept circling around and just kept stating her case over and over again for a few hours. We met again in person in August 3rd, and she just kept repeating herself. She's stuck on her point of view, and again, we have our issues. We've communicated many times between 2021 and 2022. So that was what Miranda said, because, actually, there was something else that was really interesting here too. Look at this. So she did. I can't get the volume to work. Has no sound. But she's tagged this video where she says KJ lies about being a victim. So anyway, that is that. Now, if we go to without a crystal ball, how do you think Katie reacted to that? The fact, for my reckoning, the fact that she's asking Katie to leave her alone, I think, I think speaks volumes. Is this it? She could actually. She reminds me of the LMP. She does. All right, let's have a look. So she's responded with these posts here. Sign she in a cult, which is really quite ironic. Blind loyalty to your leader. Thinking your leader was appointed by God. Believing any negative news about your leader is fake news. Opposing critical thinking. Dehumanizing outside forces. Insisting cult members are victims of persecution. Well, we know she deletes anyone that gives an opposing view. So then she's got that one. She shared somebody there, leaving the cult. Official Thai IX defends his group. And he's addressed KJ. Everyone is good and happy over here. Let's take a look into your life. Nothing interesting enough to report because nobody cares about your opinion or life. You're a KJ minion with no common sense, with a vendetta against God's people, and all of your judgments will fall on you. Enjoy your horrible social media reality life because you're definitely in the #1 cult in the USA, and you have nothing better to do than to try and make yourself feel important and appear like you care. You're easily tricked and deceived, You bringing up people's past just proves how good God is, and you give validity to why we go so hard. Stay tuned because it's going to get better, troll. Get those lips ready for some kissing of what we call asses. All right. And so she's, and then of course her cult members are like, you're right. Oh, now she's talking about. She says, "Don't worry, I can take it." So she's saying now that Miranda is trying to do a smear campaign against her. Why does it keep doing that? Oh yeah, sorry, Bella. I've only had 2 coffees this morning. Then she's got that now, which is really interesting. She says, "Don't worry, I have a team of dinos to protect me." Photo taken at the request of V. What's interesting is she actually didn't block out her son's name. So Eve, she's just stopped. I mean, I know we all know his name, but you know, she's made no effort to hide it. I'm about to go get my third. She's now done a picture of Robert Shin. After 2 weeks of combing photos and looking through so many websites, I found a photo. The person who's met Robert confirmed that this is indeed him. While it's not the best angle, he is most certainly real and not a figment of our imagination. And now she's tagging Alan. She's going after Alan. The Alan Show and Sir Twitchelite have predominantly featured 7M repeatedly on their show. Slavic's recent fundraiser for Ukraine was promoted by Alan. Alan is deleting comments and blocking people who ask about 7M on her social media. What I have heard from numerous people is that neither are directly involved with 7M. They're not part of the church nor cult, but their business relationships are confusing people. Perhaps they are keeping the door open for the dancers to have a place to land, or maybe they don't know what to believe. Either way, Alan continually promoting the dancers gives them relevance and helps the shins. What are your thoughts on the situation? I wouldn't go after Alan. 7M privated their Crump Dance crew page. So, again, she's still going after them. Many cult leaders try to hide their faces and identities. So now David Berg was one of the... now she's on to another Children of God cult. So she's, you know. But yes, so she went about a smear campaign. So now she's trying to say that there's a smear campaign against her now because she's calling out Miranda. But from what I can work out, from my brief looking into this, I'm sort of working out that this thing between Miranda and her parents and family is actually a family dispute, and they wanted her to do something and she didn't want to do that. She went her own way. And so in order to get her back to follow the family way, they did this social media call and reached out to Katie Joy. That's my interpretation of it. I could be totally and horribly wrong, but that's what it seems like, because it all comes down to the fact. It's all about the fact that Miranda stopped doing videos and social media stuff with her sister and went and did her own thing. That is what I'm working out the problem is. And one thing that I know is that you don't get involved in family disputes. So, as I said, I don't know who's right, who's wrong, but I just, it to me, it just seems like a public family spat. Just my summarization at the moment. So that's what I want to know. That's what I'm. So that's all I've really got for you today. If you found out you were wrong, you would. Well, I would admit it. Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, according to Miranda, that she has spoken to her family numerous times. So this whole thing about her distancing from her family is very interesting, because she says, I've spoken to my family on this day, this day, this day, this day. So it just seems to me that, and I don't know whether Robert Shin is in charge of a cult. I don't know any of that, but the thing is that when you start taking money, I mean, even if the dancers get 40% or 50% or 60% of whatever the income, she's actually now interfering with the income of dancers. That's tortious interference. You cannot, I know in Australia, you cannot do anything, and they actually would have a specified amount that they're losing. So they would be able to seek damages. Easy. So if I was, I'd be getting legal advice and really giving her a cease and desist, which she's not going to follow, because we know that. But I just can't help but think that this is a family spat that she's got herself involved in, and now is going to get herself into a little bit of trouble. So between Bruz and Katie Joy, the flood LGA being treated. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? The flood, depending on where you are located, depends on the assistance. Now, because there's also a spat between Queensland and the federal government, because the federal government has only just declared a natural disaster, and Queensland said, well, it's too late. We've already taken charge and sorted it out. But Swollen Pickles has a really good video that really describes this. So I'm going to put let me just find it. Swollen Pickles. Swollen Pickles actually has a very good video on this. I watched it last night and I was really, really impressed. Deflection and blame shifting, how Scott Morrison responded to the national emergency. Because, it took... The Constitution says that, or the legislation says that the Prime Minister that can declare any area natural disaster to put the ADF in, and he didn't until it was too late. Check whose seats got funded. I know whose seats got funded. It was all LNP seats. So check out that video if you haven't already, because it says it premiered. So this is Swollen Pickles. It says here, he may not hold on, mate, but he'll happily mop a basketball court if there's a camera nearby to catch it. Why isn't this working? Right. Let's look at how Morrison has handled the latest national emergency. Probably not a shock to learn it has been characterised by a delayed response, deflection, blame shifting, and photo ops. Honestly, there is so much ground that this video could have covered. I don't think I've done the whole thing justice, but should give people the broad brush strokes. And so Swollen Pickles goes into the... Oh, look, I've just realised that I've made a typo here. The other thing is I've got a... what's his name? There was a Julian, what's the politician's name? I forget. There was some guy yesterday that what's his name? That did a video about all what the LNP thought of Morrison, which was really quite interesting. Let me just see if I can find it. Julian, is it Hill? Julian Hill? It was. Let me find that, because that was hilarious, I have to say. Where is it? Yeah, Julian. Hello, Darren. Yes. I think this is it. So this says, yes, I did say that. So he did this on TikTok. Here we go. Let's have a listen to this. This is, I laughed. Oh, it was Albo's TikTok, was it? All right. I don't know whose TikTok it was, but anyway, let's have a listen.
But if Scott Morrison wants a character test, let's have a look at what people who've known Scott Morrison and observed him for years have said about him. Senior journalist Peter Hutchins said in 2011 he's the biggest grub in federal parliament. His good friend Gladys Berejiklian said he's a horrible, horrible person who puts politics before people. John Hewson said he's insensitive, lacking appropriate compassion, even inhumane. A New Zealand newspaper said after they sacked him as the head of New Zealand tourism that he's like a cross between Rasputin and Crocodile Dundee. Malcolm Turnbull, former Liberal Prime Minister, said Scott Morrison has a reputation for lying. Barnaby Joyce, the Deputy Prime Minister, said he's a hypocrite and a liar from my observations, and that's over a long period of time. Unnamed Liberal Cabinet Minister called him a complete psycho and a fraud, and former Liberal Cabinet Minister Michael Keenan said he's an absolute arsehole. So that's what those closest to Scott Morrison say about him. But if he wants a character contest with Labor, bring it on. Scott Morrison is out of touch, he's out of ideas, and he's out of time. And at the next election, Australians can make sure this bloke is out of office.
So yes, he said, I did say it. It's true. I did say that. So there you go. It's pretty bad when people in your own party, call you those names. That's not even anybody from the opposition. That's within his own party. That's within his own party. And according to the most recent poll, the LNP lags 10 points behind Labor for two-party preferred. And Swollen Pickles believes or understands that Scotty from marketing, ScoMo, is really waiting until the very last moment. So it looks like he's going to hold off, and so that the election will be on the 21st of May. So somebody has actually put the countdown calendar on. So he's holding off the last possible time, 68 days. And apparently, Scott Morrison has Peter Dutton's full support. So, but PR guy, who's usually spot on, FJ just uploaded it. Okay, I'll have a look. Following another brutal poll. All right, I was about to go, but you know, friendly Geordies, he just likes uploading when I'm online, eh? Let's have a look. You must be watching. Hello. Media's climate lies revealed. Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to leave you all to watch that. Or shall we watch it together? Or would you like a response? A live response? But I'd rather you all go watch it and give him the support. So I'm going to end it here because I'm going to watch it too and then I've got to get into uni. So I'll do my uni classes. So I'll catch you again soon. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and do all the YouTubey thingies. He needs to call. He does. He needs to let me know that he's going to upload. To be honest with you, he's going to, he's going to let me know. Anyway, I'll catch it all later. I don't know when the next time will be, but you never know. I might just spring up as another surprise again. Anyway, as I said, make sure if you're watching on the replay crew, tell me what you think about the ICAC questions to Bruz. And also make sure that you watch Swollen Pickles and Funny Geordie's videos. Bye for now.